You are listening to the last ever episode of Inside the Hive on the Charlotte Hornets on SI Podcast Network. Joining me, as he has for every single Monday since September, Sam Dracula. Sam, welcome into our final episode here on Inside the Hive. If you missed the news last week, which I announced on the podcast, we're going to be stepping away after this episode. I'm going to be joining, and it's now out in the public realm, I'm going to be joining the BuzzBeat podcast. I'm also going to be taking over some of my writing stuff over there as well to their Substack. So we are finishing out the regular season here with our annual end of season awards, the 5th edition time we've done our end of season awards, and a perfect episode to kind of put a bow on this whole thing, I think, Sam, don't you?
I think so too. I think it's a good tone setter to end on a positive note off a not so great season, and look back on some of the more enjoyable moments from the season.
Absolutely. And this is a set of awards criteria. Like I say, I think myself and Chase came up with originally about 5 years ago. We talk a little bit about some of the highlight plays of the year, some of the best and the worst moments, best wins, worst losses, MVP, some of the notable performances from over the years. So it's kind of a real mishmash of positive and depressing things that have happened over the year. And look, it's been a long season. It's been 82 games. It's easy to forget all the twists and turns that came with it. And to be honest, right now, it just feels all bad. Pretty much mostly bad. 19 wins, the least number since, I think, 2004. Losses, injuries, frustrations. But there were bright spots. Real highlight-worthy moments. Some emotional highs that had us on our feet. Some lows that made us question everything. It was a full spectrum. And today we're going to take a look at the whole picture. So let's celebrate what was worth remembering. And also let's celebrate what we want to forget in the final episode of Inside the Hive on Hornets SI Podcast. Before we get into that, I want to circle us back on our final episode to our preseason predictions, which it was on one of our podcasts we released. We had 10 increasingly bold predictions. And I want to recap here. So the listeners know, we hold ourselves accountable in the show. We're not just throwing out takes and, running away from them. We want to go back and we want to see, hey, how can we get better? Number one. Our first prediction was that they ranked no higher than 15th in offense and 24th in defense. Sam, big tick, green tick. The team 15th in offense. The team ranked 29th in offense, only beating the Washington Wizards. Safe to say, I think we were a little over our skis on that one, thinking we better put 15. I
was a conservative,
it was, and this team was not as good offensively as anyone thought. Even with the injuries. If you told me those injuries at the start of the year, I would have still said they were better than 29th in offense. And 26th in defense, which is probably around where we thought they would be. I think they were actually above this for quite a lot of the season, and it slipped over the last couple of months. So, big green tick there. This was one of yours. Tijon Salon to record a double-double. He did it. 3rd of December, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and then did it again in March. So they had 2 double-doubles. Number 3, the Hornets will have 0 All-Stars. That's one of mine. Look, that one definitely happened, and a lot of people were very upset about it. Right?
Yeah.
Number 4, the good vibes will be gone after 6 games. I want to call this kind of right. I mean, I think there were 2 and 4 after 6 games. And I remember us having a conversation. The good vibes weren't entirely gone, but they were gone a week later, right?
Yeah, because I think people realize reality set in. And if you want to call that vibes going or turning bad, I think there's a case for that. But when you're looking at, some of these really bad losses, not score wise, because they were in some of these games, but if you could feel this was heading in a familiar path. And then the injuries started coming in after that.
And Mark Williams had already injured his foot at that point.
Yeah.
And Miles Bridges had done his knee after a week and all sorts. Number 5, so far we're 4 for 4. Trey Mann would average over 15 points per game. He averaged 14.1 points per game. And I feel like there's an asterisk on this one because he was playing hurt for the last. I mean, he only played 12 or 13 games before getting shut down of the year, and he played hurt for like the last 3-4 of those where his scoring really dipped. I think if he'd have been healthy, he would have been potentially over this. Do you think?
Oh, 1,000,000%, and like comfortably over 15. Given like assuming Brandon Miller still gets hurt and their shots
LaMelo misses time.
Yeah, there was plenty of opportunity for Trey Mann to capitalize, but he just wasn't. Unfortunately, I wasn't available to do so.
I agree.
So that's a bummer.
We didn't get a green tick on that one, but I'm not giving us a big red cross either. All right.
Yes.
Number 6, the Hornets won't make the play-in. Look, I know these things seem really obvious now, but like at the start of the year, there was a world where you looked at Toronto, Detroit, and Chicago, and we're like, yeah, Charlotte could be in that mix. I know it seems strange to think about now, but we were pretty strong that they would not make the play-in, and I don't think a lot of people were as strong as that as we were early before the season started. Number 7, Nick Richards and Vasilicic both get traded.
Let's go. Come on.
Double barrel, bang, bang. Both to the Suns. Phoenix.
Parlay on that one. Let's go.
Yeah, we could have added Cody Martin to that list. I think we were close to doing it preseason as well, and we still would have been right. Number 8, LaMelo Ball to finish top 3 and Brandon Miller top 10 in 3-pointers made per game. We got this one with a slight technicality. Now, because of the time missed, they don't actually eligible. If you look on like the 3-point leaderboard, they don't appear because of all the games missed. But if you take out that, LaMelo is tied second with 3.1 threes made per game behind Steph Curry, who's at 4 a game. He's tied with 3.1 made per game with Luka, Lillard, and Klay Thompson. So LaMelo in the tie for second. Brandon Miller, he was 9th with 2.9 threes made per game. So if you take out the injuries thing, this came true, and I'm giving ourselves a green tick.
I like it. I concur.
Number 9. Okay, remember, this was increasingly bold.
Yes.
And 9 and 10 didn't happen. But that's the point. It would have been boring if we called it increasingly bold and they were just not that bold. Grant Williams or Miles Bridges were to be traded. And obviously both are still on the team. A Miles Bridges trade never really seemed to be that close from what we can tell at the deadline. And then Grant Williams got injured. And that was maybe one of the reasons why it wasn't close. And again, I think this is another one I think we can give ourselves like an asterisk in terms of like if like early in the season, Grant Williams was outplaying Miles Bridges comfortably. Yes. And if he'd have stayed healthy for the whole year, who knows how this season would have unfolded for either of them.
Yeah, like Grant Williams' net rating's crazy. Like his usefulness and value to the team. I think it's around 11. His on-off stuff is crazy.
Plus 13 last time I checked it, which is crazy high.
It's nuts. And yeah, losing him, which by the way, I know it's another podcast or whatever, but like, and I know everyone doesn't pay as much attention to the Hornets as we do and as you do listening to this. But I heard on a national podcast that Grant Williams isn't an NBA player anymore. And I think that person didn't realize he was injured. And that
call out the national podcast. Who is this?
It was Waz from The Ringer.
Oh,
and I think Bill corrected him saying he's been hurt. I think somebody jumped in and threw and shot him some bail saying that Grant's been hurt. But I was like, I like hearing that perspective because maybe they're seeing something I'm not seeing. But I was like, no, like absolutely not. I know Grant's has a very serious injury. We'll see what happens after that. But Grant, before he got hurt, was vital to what the Hornets had going on, and they're a 10 seed. They were in the mix when Grant was there, and then we saw what happened. It's not the only reason why things went down the drain, but Grant was a big reason why good things were happening in Charlotte.
Yeah. And then our final one, Brandon Miller to have multiple 40-point games. I think I did a whole deep dive at the time. It was like amount of second-year players who had multiple 40-point games, and it was like a handful. So this was very bold. But look, he had 38 versus the Pistons.
Yep.
So this was close. Like, he had close to 1, and he missed over half the season. So this is not out of the realms of possibility that it could have happened again if he had not got injured.
Yeah. 38 in overtime, in an overtime game. And then 34 in regulation, 32. And then that's the tops of it. Didn't quite get there.
But hey, 7 out of 10. And on the 3 we didn't get, injuries play a severe factor in why we didn't get there. So, little pat on the back for us, Sam. I think we did well.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. And if we done terribly, we're never revisiting those predictions ever. We bring them up when we want, and we don't bring them up when we don't want. No, but yeah, we hold ourselves to account. Right, let's get on to awards. Sam,
yes.
Tell us, where would you like to start? Which award?
So my favorite of the categories is the media clip. So
okay, let's go straight to media clip of the year.
All right, if you want to start there, we can start there. I'm here for it.
Fire us away. Give us one of your nominations for media clip of the year, and so people know, this is like anything that just kind of happened that wasn't a play in a, like not a big play, not a moment, but just like things that kind of went viral on social media for one reason or another.
So first one for me is make the fire in the crowd. Draft night, Tejan Salon addresses the Buzz City for the first time and makes his intent known about what he wants to do in the Queen City. Make the fire in the crowd. And you know what? He had some moments. He was fired up for sure. And it never took, since we're talking about this, it never got to the point of cringe for me with Salon with the fist pumps after a made jumper or a big play. I like that stuff from him. Year 2, you got to leave that in your rookie season, but your first season in the NBA, have all the fun you want, in my opinion. But first one is make the fire in the crowd, the legendary quote from our 6th overall pick. If
he ever turns into a real player, there's going to be make the fire in the crowd t-shirts. There's going to be like a remix dance tune with crowd. You can see it all coming. And you're right. There has never been a record for number of threes made per fist bump. You know, that is Tejan Salon holds the record for that. So make the fire in the crowd. I like it. Look, I'll throw out a couple here. Remember when LaMelo Ball got scared in the Halloween video going up the stairs of the practice facility? And he was like collapsed on the stairs in hysterics. That one like crossed the line of just like Hornets sphere media to like something that a lot of people were talking about. Like, I don't know. It'd be an interesting question to the Hornets. Like, what's your clip that's gone most viral this year? I'd have to think that was up there. Another one to throw out is when the Hornets made the statement on welcoming back their starting center, Mark Williams, after the trade got voided. And it was like a really strangely felt rushed worded statement from the Hornets PR account to try and like get out ahead of the news. And, you know, referred to the Lakers as the other team in the trade and all these weird things that everyone was looking at this thing going, what? So there's a couple there. Give me some more from your end.
So honorable mention to LiAngelo. I know he never suited up for Charlotte, but
Greece for Swarm legend.
Yes, sir. And he was at the All-Star game. So I don't know if you can amend that the Hornets won't have an All-Star because Jello was there and he performed. Big year for Jello. LaMelo on the go-kart. That's another one that I think transcended Hornets fandom. Like that, I saw people talking to me about that clip who I know don't follow the team at all. And then my personal winner is LaMelo being, I guess it was a screenshot of a video that the Hornets put out preseason, but LaMelo and ankle braces confirmed leading into the season. That's for me. That's my media clip of the year. Just putting a bow on that conversation. He's doing it. Hey guys, it's happening. We don't have to talk about it anymore. So for me, LaMelo and the ankle braces.
Yeah, I think I'll join you in that one. I think I'll join you. LaMelo wearing ankle braces. It was an exhausting conversation, right? And like I had Jeff Stotts, the injury expert, on to talk about ankle braces and you know why they do and don't work and the evidence behind them, which is, you know, very fuzzy and gray to say the least. So yeah, the fact that we didn't have to have that conversation anymore, I agree. Like, and when he hurt his ankle again this year, and you know he's ended up having surgery again, at least there's not the whole like, well, until he starts wearing ankle braces, he's not a serious player. So I agree. I'm going to join you. LaMelo Ball, photographed of a screenshot of a video wearing ankle braces. You are a winner of Media Clip of the Year. Okay. Let's go on to another one. Let's do a play. Let's do Dunk of the Year. Dunk of the year. And look, you can go find these online. You'll probably post them on our social medias afterwards. Like, we're not going to spend too much time talking through the dunks, but I'm going to list probably a couple of suggestions, and I might rekindle something in the back of people's mind who remember watching this. So the first nomination, I'm going to name two. Well, I'm going to name three. Three nominations. Brandon Miller, Trey Mann, Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges had a reverse dunk on Kevin Durant, which was an and one against the Suns, which was pretty tasty, right? And he got the and one, and it's on a legendary player in KD, and it was reverse as well. So I think that was a good one. Trey Mann really early in the season had a poster on Nick Claxton where he tried to step in and take a charge. And we've seen that type of poster before where someone kind of like, jumps and leans over the guy trying to take the charge and gets the dunk. That was a nice one. And then Brandon Miller versus Houston, first game of the season. And actually, this was the dunk. I think he injured himself. Was it a calf soreness in that debut game? I'm trying to remember now. He picked up an injury in that debut game, the first game of the season, where he kind of just picked up the ball on a cut and just exploded like on Jabari Smith Jr. and kind of like yammed it on him. So those are my three. Any from you, Sam, that you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, so I want to mention Diabate because he had a game where it seemed like he was going to have a dunk every quarter, and his offense is pretty limited, right? Unless he's dunking the ball.
Yes.
And then you get into like degree of difficulty with some of the dunks because he's an undersized center. He's a strong kid, but like he's height wise and length wise, like he doesn't have the measurables among some of the more established NBA centers. So for me, he had a great moment against the Mavericks. I think, Cody Martin and Diabate linked up on a nice screen and roll. Cody with a nice lob over to Moose, who dunks on Gafford.
It's like an alley-oop poster, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing, and it's before he got paid, which in my made-up narrative, it's like part of like the story, the journey to get an NBA contract. Plays like that lead up to rewards like that, because we know what he could bring defensively, but like offensively, his hands aren't the best. I don't know, like it's limiting, and you can really tell the difference between him and Mark out there when the Hornets are on offense, right? But Moose showing a flash like that when Mark Williams isn't around to show like, hey, I can do some of the stuff too. So I like that from him. But I think you're right. I think the Bridges one over Durant is the winner, but I'm going to cheat and go one from preseason. Brandon Miller.
This is cheating. Preseason. We're bringing in preseason highlights to the discussion.
So Bridges wins, but one of my favorite dunks from the season was Brandon Miller over Miles Turner in preseason.
It was a great dunk. It was a great dunk.
Yeah, man. And for me, like, and I think a lot of people, you see Brandon Miller and you see how slight he is. And part of the conversation, until it's like fully realized, is like how much mass can he put on, how much muscle can he put on to be like a real like physical small forward in the NBA, right? When you have, but like, so coming off his rookie year, and then now we're in preseason, like this is the first like we're seeing him in action. He leaps into the air, meets Miles Turner in the air, and wins. Right? And Miller has an advantage. He's moving forward. Turner's going straight up. But Miller winning in a midair collision and finishing kind of speaks to where he's at physically, at least at that point, and gave me hope going into this season that just happened, that the physicality is there, right? You could still, at this point, still get stronger. And I think that's going to be part of the Brandon Miller story until he is stronger. But he's not that far off, at least from what we saw in preseason on that dunk. And the athleticism is there. Just got to hope the wrist injury is fine. But I'm disqualifying myself. I just want to mention that dunk over Turner.
If it was eligible, Sam, if it was eligible, it's the winner because Miles Turner's jumping, he's contesting, he's 7 foot and a well-known shot blocker. Like, compare that to Trey Mann's, where like Claxton is standing there trying to take a charge and doesn't even jump. Like, it's not a contest. But you are right. It is preseason. It can't count. I'm with you. I think it's Miles Bridges on Durant.
Yeah.
for the reverse. Now I think it was in Phoenix, so you don't quite get the crowd reaction that you might get on some of these other dunks, right? But yeah, I think Miles Bridges on Durant, and then I'd say closely followed by Brandon Miller versus Houston. I think that's the one for dunk of the year.
I like it.
Where do you want to take us? Next category, Sam.
Well, I'm gonna just cheat. Let's go with assists so I can cheat again. Because
okay. Assist of the year.
I'm going to assist.
By the way, do you have any nominations that aren't from LaMelo Ball?
Absolutely not.
I was the same. I was like, I have to find one. I have to find one that isn't LaMelo. I think this has been the same for 3 years in a row, where it's just like LaMelo Ball, LaMelo Ball, LaMelo Ball, which is, he's one of those gifted passers of his generation. It's kind of to be expected.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna cheat again. All right. I'm gonna not cheat for the first one. All right. LaMelo to Brandon Miller, half court alley-oop heave, November 6th. It's a home win against the Pistons. And just a beautiful play.
Ball was in the air a long time. It was
like
longest time in the air for an alley-oop before it's caught. That has to be up there this year. I didn't see many ones being thrown from as far back as LaMelo threw that one. And it was uncontested, but still, the ball traveling that far and getting your timing and judgment all right, that is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, you're right. And I understated it by calling it a half-court heave. He was clearly like 2 or 3 paces towards his own baseline. Like, he was well behind half-court, firing that ball up to Brandon Miller for the finish. But where I'm going to cheat is the game against the Sixers. We're in December, middle of December. We're near the end of the first half. Diabate steals the ball from Lowry, who's on the floor, finds Melo. Melo finds a cutting Bridges from the baseline for an alley-oop. Then Tyrese Maxey tries like a weird step back 3 on the near corner on the other end. Air balls, falls right to Diabate. Diabate knows what to do with that ball. Get it straight to LaMelo. LaMelo finds Bridges for another alley-oop. So back-to-back alley-oops within the same kind of sequence off of
20 seconds apart, something like that. Yeah.
And Eric Collins yells, "We've been dreaming about this for a while," as the crowd goes crazy. For me, I'm glad those moments happened at home. The fans that go to the building deserve moments like this to celebrate like this amongst each other. And it wouldn't hit the same if that was in Philly. It just wouldn't have the same magic to it. So that's my cheating answer, but you can go ahead.
Well, I'll get my cheating answer out as well. I think I should do that first, right? LaMelo Ball versus the Miami Heat. He had a pass where he kind of got tripped over, and as he was falling, he threw a pass to the corner. And I still don't know how he threw it to this day. I've rewound and watched this thing so many times. You can find it on my X account. If you go and search for LaMelo pass on my profile, it'll come up. It was incredible. Like this falling down, flailing, wraparound pass, and then he got back up, got the ball, and got fouled on a 3-point attempt. Now, it won't go down as assist because he got fouled. But just the fact that he made that pass and it essentially led to 3 free throws, I'm counting it. So, again, breaking the rules. But he also had another one. This other thing where when LaMelo was falling to the ground, this one, he was like underneath the paint in the key, and he's falling to the ground, nowhere to go, falling over the baseline. And as he goes, he throws a quick wraparound pass to Josh Green as he's going down, who's open in the corner and hits 3. And just, again, one of the most creative passes. The fact that he can get the speed and accuracy on these passes while literally being 6 inches from being landscape on the ground, it just blows your mind. It doesn't make sense how he's able to generate the velocity on the ball. So those were both incredible. I think that would be my winner. The non-LaMelo Ball pass I found was a Mark Williams one, where and this got everyone very excited when he'd come back, where he kind of caught the ball in a short roll and he did a bounce pass between 2 defenders, and it kind of went almost directly under 2 defenders' arms, and they both kind of reached for it and both missed it. And I think he found Miles Bridges maybe in the corner for a 3. But that was the first time you're like, whoa, Mark Williams, like this on the roll, decision-making, passing, this is very intriguing. And that was definitely a growth area for Mark this year. So that was positive to see. So I think I'm going to say my vote to the as I'm falling, passes it on the ground to Josh Green. Where's your vote going?
I got to go with the long distance sniper of a alley oop to Brandon Miller. Like I love that play. I was like, should that go in the dunk category? But it feels like a better pass than finish.
I agree.
So,
it was an uncontested dunk in the end, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Let's recap some wins and losses, shall we? And let's start with loss of the year first. Or let's do win of the year, actually. Let's do win of the year. Look, I'd forgotten basically all these wins.
There's so few of them. How can you forget?
I know, but about 50% of the Hornets wins were like really, and that was that game where that happened. And like they were memorable. They were never just like, the Hornets went up by 12 at halftime and then finished the game up by 17 and that was it. It was so much more than that. So yeah, just some crazy wins. So let's recap. I've got opening night. They beat Houston Rockets 110 to 105. LaMelo had 34 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists. Came back from 16 points down in the third quarter. And again, opening night is always filled with so much hope, right? Anticipation, excitement. They didn't even have Mark Williams, and they just beat the Houston Rockets on the road. I thought that was an emotional high that kind of got people feeling very positive. Next one, Detroit Pistons. 108-107 win. Brandon Miller with his first game winner, I should say, against Detroit. We remember the offensive rebound where he threw the swing move, crashed in the glass, got the ball, laid it back up and in. Game over. Miles Bridges had 27 points, 7 rebounds. Brandon Miller had 19 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Taj Gibson started that game in like November. Just absolutely crazy. Crazy scenes. And the actual thing I also forgot was Brandon Miller turned the ball over. If you remember the possession before he had the game winner, I think the Hornets were up. He got the ball and he dribbled it off his foot to turn it over, which then put Detroit up basically. So he almost fumbled the game away and then ended up making the game winner, which is a big moment. Any other wins of the year? Give me some nominations from your end.
So for me, a personal one. I went to one game this year and the Hornets won, so I'm putting that on the list. When you're talking about memorable things, it was the Pelicans game. It was the Pelicans beatdown. Like Zion was coming off like an 8-day illness or something like that, so he was really slow out the gates. But the Hornets shot the ball like on a mad one. Those are shot 42%, hit 21 threes that day or that night. So that was a lot of fun. That was a whole lot of fun in the building for that. But for me, like far and away, the Lakers game at Lakers, the game that should have happened earlier in the season and didn't because of the wildfires. So because of that, it created this like narrative that like this multi-layer thread of storylines for that game. It's the first game after the All-Star break where LaMelo got snubbed, right? It's the first game of Mark Williams after the rescinded trade. They're playing the team that rescinded the trade. And they take LeBron and Luka to the limit and get the win. Like for me, like that is the win of the year. And one of the few moments where the team looked like really alive. And I don't know if it's any of that factored into it or like just the break just motivated the squad differently. But like that game felt like magic, and no pun intended. And that's my win of the year away at the Lakers.
So this is one that I'm really happy you found, because this one just passed over my head. I was doing my research, but for some reason I skipped over it. And you're right, like the revenge factor for Mark Williams. First game back from the All-Star break. I think it was the only game on that night, so everybody is watching, and it's the Lakers. So you're on like national scene, and at that point it triggers all the podcasts. Like, what's wrong with the Lakers? Like it triggered all of that. So. Look, I think that's a really, really strong contender with that Mark Williams narrative that coming up again. I think you're probably right. 2 more games I want to mention as nominees. We should mention the San Antonio game.
Yeah.
Because the Hornets scored 145 points, 145 to 134. the second highest number of points they scored in their franchise history, set a franchise record 26 threes. So that just has to be on the nomination shortlist.
Yes, fair.
A meaningless March basketball game, but records are broken, so we have to do that. Look, the overtime game against Detroit coming up here again. Hornets have tortured Detroit a little bit this year, beat them with a game winner, and then went to overtime where LaMelo Ball had 35 points, Brandon Miller had 38. I remember we talked on this very podcast that's the future that we saw in that game, right? Where you've got these two young stars who are growing, who are leading the team offensively, and you're able to play through them, and then you have role players around them. And that was one of the very, very few games where that vision looked like, hey, the Hornets could really be onto something here. They've got two great offensive talents. So that was another one. Like, you just have your two best young players having basically massive career nights and picking up an overtime win.
I like it. I forgot about that one, so I'm glad you mentioned that one too.
All right, let's move on. Loss of the year, okay. And look, we don't have a lot of nominations down for this one, and there's one single reason, because I've already decided who's winning it, and there's no other way that anything can compete with this. And that is losing to the Washington Wizards 4 times by a combined 35 points. And I don't care that it's more than one game. I don't care I'm bending my own rules. That is the loss of the year. You cannot lose to the worst team in the NBA, one of the worst teams in NBA history, the Washington Wizards, 4 times by a combined 35 points. Embarrassing.
It's rough. You are 100% correct. Those games deserve each other to be bundled up with each other, because that is the by far the worst performances we've seen from the team as a collective. Like that, it makes no sense for a team that's not trying to win games to get blown out by them. Is crazy.
Yeah, and it's not even like, when you look at the lineups, it's not like the Hornets were at their most injured for those games either. They actually had some of their guys and just lost to, Justin Champagny and Jordan Poole, who might come up later, by the way, and these other guys, right? So Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington looking like all-stars against the Hornets. It was embarrassing. So loss of the year, there was just no other way to point this. You can't separate out any of those Wizards losses. They're all terrible. There was there was a terrible Houston game at one point where they had a team meeting after a loss. And obviously, like, there were some big blowouts, right? But they were like at big talent disadvantages and rest disadvantages. There was no excuse for these Washington games. Zero
excuse.
Okay, where do you want to go next? You want to go best moment of the year, Apex Mountain, the Kelly Oubre Award, MVP? Where do you want to land?
Let's go Oubre.
Oh, okay. Oubre. Interesting. The Kelly Oubre Award. Idea behind this award is that the guy who kind of like comes in and out of nowhere, you're like, whoa, Vernon Carey had 19 points against the Nets? Or oh, Kelly Oubre, he hit how many threes in the game? Like it's that kind of one that you see and it makes your eyebrows raise up when you see it on the box score. Normally it's from a lesser known player, not like an all-star player or one of your top players. But there are, the MVP criteria in the NBA, the criteria for that are murky. Criteria for Kelly Oubre Award is murky as well. So you just have to, whatever feels right, feels right. So give us some ideas for the Kelly Oubre Award.
So for me, my guy, my favorite player on the team, Vasa Micic. All right.
I can't believe you're picking Vasa Micic for an award on the podcast after your disdain for him for half a season.
Listen, man, I want to give him credit where credit's due.
Is credit due?
He started 8 games, I want to say.
He was actually quite good when he started.
But the Hornets have only won 1 game. Sorry, he started 16 games as a Hornet this season, and they've won 1 of those games. And this performance is in that win, all right? 15 field goal attempts from Micic. He shot 47 from the field, 67 from 3, 18 points, 9 assists, 2 boards. Like, this is in December, and he's coming off like that real rocky preseason and rough start to the season. It kind of got to the point where I was like, oh, Beaches may have like some actual trade value here because he's in LaMelo replacement duty right now and seemingly making the most of it. And that when I was looking at the numbers, like I know because he's had 2 other 20-point games this season, but those were in losses, and so I'm throwing those out. I want to give him credit for putting up big numbers for Micic in a win. That's where I'm at right now from Big Vasa.
All right, Vasa Micic. I did not think Vasa Micic was going to be coming up a lot today. Happy to be proved wrong there. Okay, some other nominations from me. And I think there's quite a few here. I think there's quite a few nominations. There's not an outright favorite. Very open category, I think, for the Kelly Oubre Award. Kelly Oubre was a serial winner of this award for his 2 years in a row in Charlotte. Look, first I want to say, some people be saying, Nick Smith Jr., he just had 21 points, 10 assists the other nights. Like, he has to be in the running for that performance. Sam, it was the fakest 21 points, 10 assists performance I've ever seen in my life. He scored 14 points in the last 5 minutes of the game where the Raptors were like not even getting back or playing D. And then I counted 6 assists, which were made on Nurkic post-ups, or like he passed it sideways to someone with 2 seconds on the shot clock and he hit like a one-legged fading 3 and it went in. So I'm eliminating that game because it is the fakest box score stat. And maybe that should be a new awards category, is the fakest box score of the year. So I'm eliminating that. Other nominations. Seth Curry, 18 points, 18 minutes against the Knicks. Miles Bridges, 46 points, 8 rebounds against the Cavs in a 1-point loss when they had an absolute ton of injuries and Miles Bridges was doing everything. Nick Smith Jr. against the Spurs in that record-setting game. He went 6 from 7 from 3. I think he hit 2 or 3 crazy deep shots, which are just like, he puts his hands in the air like, I don't know what's happening. That was 26 points in 26 minutes. Trey Mann, 27 points in 28 minutes against the Toronto Raptors. I had Damian Barr's first game where he got called up and then about 4 hours later put up 16 points and came in was gunning from deep. And it was like, this guy's just got here and he already looks like just really confident. I mean, look, he was pretty brutal after that. I can't lie. But that first game, he really made an impact. Where are you landing on this? I want us to be united on this one. Where are we landing? Which of those do you think makes your eyebrow raise the most when you open the box score?
Probably Bridges.
I think so too. And I know it's not within the nature of this award, but 46 points against the 1 seed Cavs.
Yeah.
When I'll try and find out who else was in that. Who else was in the lineup that night? That'll be a good because I remember there was a lot of injuries.
Because
this game
on a nightly basis, it's going to be. It was March 7th, I believe.
It was. I'm just getting to it now. So starting with Miles Bridges that night, you had no, it wasn't too bad. Daquan Jeffries, Nurkic, LaMelo Ball did play, and Josh Green. So you had no Mark Williams. You had no Brandon Miller that night. So you're missing 2 of your key players there. But Damian Barr played 26 minutes. So, you have a good feeling there of just exactly where the team were at that point.
Yeah, Bridges with 32 field goal attempts. Like that wins you the award. And when you crack 30 field goal attempts, that should lock you up. That should lock you in the award.
Another potential award category, which maybe we have to add this again, is the guy that you'll forget in 6 months was ever on the team.
Ooh, that's a lot of these guys, though.
There's a lot of candidates this year. I think it has to be Malachi Flynn takes the win, though, right?
Okay. Because how many games did he log in total? 2, 4, right?
He signed 1 10-day contract, and I think he played 2 or 3 times, maybe.
Yeah. Jared Roden's up there as well because
that's true. Alfred Payton,
because
more name recognition, but he's also there. He got 2 10 days. Jared Roden, you might be right.
I only mention him because I don't like a lot of people. No disrespect to him, right? Don't know what he looks like. So you'll see the Hornets, like the FanDuel TV Sports Live Network, whatever it's called, will cut to the Hornets bench. Like, who the hell is that guy? Like, he's that. Like, who is that?
Who's
He was
the new
that guy.
trainer?
Yeah. I was like, I will cut to him. Jeffries was like that for a while before he got cleared to play and all that. I was like, who the hell is this dude? But at least I know who Alfred Payton is and who Malachi Flynn is. But no, yeah, there's a good mix of fellas who you're like, damn, could come up really clutch in like those immaculate grids if you want to get real like nerdy with it.
Okay, let's go to best moment of the year. And again, I was thinking, what is the good moment from this year? Like, it doesn't really exist, does it? How wrong I was. This was just a delight. What a delight category to start working through.
Ooh.
I'll give a couple, then you can give maybe a couple.
Yes.
Miles Bridges hitting a 3-point game winner against the Spurs. And if you remember, that was the game where De'Aaron Fox then came back and hit a game winner with, I think, they had 1.2 seconds on the clock. And he thought he had it. And the refs ruled it out. And shout out Eric Collins, who's right on it and called straight away, like, I don't think he got it off. And then turns out that he didn't. So Miles Bridges hitting a 3-point game winner. I think that was a really nice, fun, high moment. Then, which is the other one I want to throw out early here? Let's have a look. Can I say the Luka Doncic and Jimmy Butler trades for the Charlotte Hornets future draft assets?
Absolutely.
Is that an okay answer? It's got nothing to do with the team, but those trades were great for the Hornets future first round picks they owe from both those teams.
For me, like my qualifications for this like made up category is, what have I told people about that? What has happened around the Hornets where I've been like, yo, I know there's some things of happening, but like this is how it affects the Hornets, or you should look at this because it's really like wholesome. And the Luka stuff, the Jimmy Butler stuff, that had me texting people like, hey, by the way, I know there's nothing to do with the Hornets, but this is awesome for us. Yeah. So that should be in there. That should be in there.
If you could write the script of how do we want these other teams to like screw up badly, let's do that. Okay, I think that could be a strong favorite, even though it has nothing to do with the Hornets. Some other notable mentions I have: Brandon Miller's putback game winner that we've already talked about. The Mark Williams trade when we thought it was going to get proved. Yep. I think that was maybe a high moment. Short-lived, albeit. Musa Diabate getting converted from his two-way. Taj Gibson hitting 1,000 games. Kemba Walker being back with the Hornets. Yeah. I mean, that was a cool moment. And then the Green Swan making the playoffs. Shout out DJ Baker, friend of the podcast. Any others that you've got there for best moment of the year?
No, I just want to double down on the Taj Gibson one and the Diabate one, because those are moments that I've shared with non-Hornets fans, saying like just the raw emotion and like happiness and joy and congratulations around those moments is kind of like what makes sports so special, things like that. And so for me, that those are one of those, when I look back on this season and the positives, Taj hitting that milestone and then what it meant to him, and then Musa getting that milestone and seeing how happy everyone was for him and how hard he worked leading up to that moment. That's up there. That's really up there for me.
Yeah. What are you putting your vote for winner? I think I'm going the Luka and Butler trades. Like, the rest of these things are nice, but they're short, brief moments. Whereas we get to enjoy the success of that moment for years to come, and hopefully for years after that, if we keep that draft pick. So I think I'm going with that. It was just more meaningful than all these other things.
Hell yeah! Like we can enjoy that moment. Like, when's the playing game? Like, wait,
we get to enjoy it several times over.
Like, so yeah,
it's like a visit to a Thai massage place. There's multiple moments of enjoyment.
Yes, sir. So yeah, no, I agree with you. Lock me in for the Luka Butler trades.
Okay. Look, worst moment of the year, and again, this is a stacked category. This is a lot of talent. Throw out some nominations. Worst moment of the year.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were about to do it. I only have one. It's Mark Williams. Yeah. It's the Mark Williams thing. Like,
I mean, it was the first thing that came to my mind. When you read that trade got voided. Oh, wow.
Bro, I was like, maybe I read it thinking maybe I don't know what the word rescinded means. Like that's how in disbelief I was at what I was looking at, and the fact that they got held up for so long and there was so little information out at the time, and the Hornets are still playing games without their player is insane. That the league allowed that to happen. And then there's a chance I don't know when the next CBA comes around, but this gets revisited, and we may have a Mark Williams rule down the line. Who knows? But inviting, and I think I saw a quote. We're recording this like they were doing the exit interviews. I saw a quote from Jeff Peterson talking about Mark Williams' professionalism throughout all this.
Yeah,
he even won the media award for it. Well, not for this specifically, but for being open and available and all that.
It kind of was for this specifically. It was like, thanks for coming back and not being a dick about it, Mark. We're going to give you this media award.
What's a big change from him just not talking about how he hurt his ankle on media day? So it was a big 180 from Big Mark this year. But yeah, that whole thing is like super awkward from a Hornets point of view. I know probably less awkward because at least the Lakers are winning games and they're heading in a specific direction. But for Charlotte, you're like, yo, what the hell? Like, not only do the Hornets not get these future draft assets, they have welcoming back one of their key players now who is up for a contract extension. He's contract extension eligible like this summer, and they have to make a decision next summer at the latest. So like they're heading into this awkward pathway now that they didn't, according to them, didn't ask for. Like this was the Lakers' idea. So Lakers come to the Hornets and like, hey, would you be interested in this? They're like, yeah, let's do it. And the Lakers say, nah, that's not okay. That's not cool. Lakers just like threw a stink bomb in the Lakers bedroom and now, or the Hornets bedroom. Now we have to deal with the mess here. So
I can't wait to hate cheer against the Lakers so much this postseason. When they're out there seeing Jackson Hayes getting played off the floor, I'm going to be sipping my whiskey going, yeah, damn right, Rob Pelinka. You own this. You own this shit stain. You can deal with the consequences.
Yeah, man. So for me, it's Mark Williams, and that's it. That's all I got, man.
Look, it's certainly a strong candidate, but like I say, this was a year from hell. So there's a lot of moments here. LaMelo Ball getting benched against the Nets. That was stressful, right? Fan base reaction. Charles Lee out. A couple of weeks into the season.
Oh my god. Yeah.
LaMelo Ball spraining his ankle when he was backpedaling on defense. Just like, what's the latest way LaMelo Ball can get injured, which is weird and quirky and something that no one's ever done before. Oh, let's backpedal and stand on Jared Vanderbilt's ankle and go out. Grant Williams' injury and just all the injuries. We can put them all in together. Trey Mann's back. Grant Williams blowing out his ACL, his meniscus, and maybe his PCL. Mark Williams spraining his foot on the first day of internal media day. Like the season training camp hadn't even started and he was hurt. And then, look, we've already talked about losing 4 in a row to Washington, but specific moment when Jordan Poole hit the 3-point game winner with 8 seconds left. And then I've also got a stretch from February 22nd to March 3rd where, and I'll list you the amount of points that the Hornets scored in the stretch of games in a row. 88 points against the Blazers, 88 points against the Kings, 92 points against the Warriors, 96 points against the Mavericks, 100 points against the Wizards, and 101 points against the Warriors. That is 6 games in a row where they've managed to score, well, under 90 twice, under 100 twice, 4 times, and then under 101 all 6 times, which in the modern NBA is like, that's like Larry Brown, Charlotte Bobcats basketball, that. And they got blown out by 60 against the Blazers, by about 50 against the Kings, by 38 against the Warriors. Just like, it was painful to watch those night after night after night. And we both sat there and did it in February. And that whole stretch, that was like one of the lowest emotional moments of the feeling of just like, what's the point of watching this? When is this team ever going to win again? That's how it feels in those moments. At that point, you could tell me they were going to lose the next 30 games and I'd be like, yeah, I could see it because things are just look so far away.
You're 100% right. As you're talking, I thought of another one. Draft
Pile
lottery.
of the misery. Come on.
Draft lottery night. fallen to the 6th pick.
Yeah.
Because in a different world, Stephon Castle could be a Hornet. Like, things could be different.
If it wasn't for JT Thor, JT Thor wasn't beating the Cavaliers, I think, in the very last game of last season.
Yeah.
When I was screaming, being like, no, the Hornets have to lose this game. And everyone's going, relax, this draft sucks anyway. What does it matter? Well, they slipped to 6, draft T-John Salon. What happens to the Spurs, who position they swapped with? They end up with the top 3 pick. They get Stephon Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still go Mark Williams, though. But this is the lottery night is pretty brutal as well.
No, I'm with you. Worst moment of the year, the disbelief, the problem the Hornets now have in their hands. According to Jeff Peterson, he has a lot of belief in Mark Williams being part of the core now. According to Media Day quotes today, take those words as far as you want to.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Can't point to him. There they go. That way. There we go.
Yeah. So, I don't know about that one from Jeff, but look, I understand why he has to say it, but I didn't believe it for 1 minute. Right. Okay, worst moment of the year. That was one of the tough ones. That's over. We're hurtling towards the end of our award show here. Let's do Apex Mountain. Again, hard award this year. Normally there's like a really obvious guy where it's like, well, yeah, he like had a breakout year. Which guy do we think reached their apex in terms of having the best year of their career? And they'll look back on this and go, that was the best year of my career. Which individually, who do you think are the candidates for that?
So I think, I hate to say this, but Diabate was a real candidate for this.
Yeah.
It's the nature of it. Like he's hasn't been around long enough. He doesn't have a proven track record. He's had a fantastic year for his part in the rotation and his like positioning on the roster, right? The question is like, what you bring back Nurkic, you bring back Mark Williams, you bring back Diabate, obviously, like what does that look like going forward? Like with that 3-man rotation, does Diabate just lose minutes, or does he have to learn a new position to find spots? Like, do they move Nurk or try to trade Williams again? There's a lot of uncertainty around it, and there's a path where Diabate can kind of be lost in the shuffle if they're married to Mark and Nurkic going into next season. So his play style it doesn't suit him to be a guy who's just kind of playing few minutes. Like you want him out there grabbing rebounds, playing defense, and getting the seldom dunk or two. So that's concerning. And then Seth Curry is my other main one.
Yep.
Great year. 3-point champ.
3-point champ. He did it. 45.6% from 3. He made it in the penultimate game of the season. I think he made 5 threes in that game. I think he needed 2 or 3 to be eligible for the award. So achieves the same prestigious award that his father Dell did in terms of leading the NBA in 3-point percentage. Seth did it. The most random forgotten. That will be a quiz question. Who led the 24-25 season in the NBA 3-point percentage? People will be thinking Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard. No, it was 35-year-old Seth Curry on the 19-win Charlotte Hornets.
Let's go, baby. And I think there's a good chance he's on the roster next year as well. So for me, that puts him in contention. And because of the age, it's concerning. Assuming Trey Mans returns back healthy, Nick Smith Jr. with another year, LaMelo healthy, Brandon Miller healthy, similar to Diabate, where Seth not only kind of could find himself aging out, but losing a spot because of all of the perimeter play available to a fully healthy Hornets team.
It still blows my mind in some ways. That does not blow your mind that Seth Curry actually won this award when like this team was starved of 3-point shooting. They were one of the worst offenses in the NBA, and they were dying for offense so often. How did Seth Curry not end up shooting more so his percentage came down? Like, is that stupid for me to ask that question?
Well, no, because like he was just he seemed like he was early when everyone was available, and it seemed like the plan was, let's see if Seth has it tonight, and if he doesn't, he sits. Like he got 5 minutes. It seemed like he had 5 minutes to hit a 3. If he didn't do it, he wasn't playing the rest of the game. And I think it set him up to like this path where he only was around just to see if he had it, and if he had it, he got more time, and if he didn't, he sat. And ends the season as a 3-point champ, but he made 1.2 threes a game, right? So like, it's super like skin of your teeth type stuff with it, but a win's a win.
I mean, I still think Seth Curry's a better player than Nick Smith Jr. And I've said that all year. And look, I understand why Seth Curry didn't play more and Nick Smith Jr. did, because they want to invest in young guys and they want to see what they have. So I'm not alien to the concept as to why it happened, but there's also part of me that's like, I just can't believe Charles Lee wasn't like, Seth, like, we want you to fire him up there. We're struggling. So the fact that he was able to do that and generate the quality of looks on this team when they didn't really generate many quality looks for anyone, kind of incredible. Look, I think you're right. I think Moussa Diabate is the answer for this. There's a lot of injuries that led to a lot of opportunity for Moussa. And like you said, he's an undersized 5 who is a specialist on offensive rebounding and switching. And I think he's a good gadget player to have because like you can bring him in at any point and he'll bring energy. I don't think probably on like a playoff team, he's going to be a guy who's in an every night rotation. There's too many shortcomings on offense in terms of a skill set, like defensively in terms of size in the interior. So I think he's like a specialist player on like a good team. And I just don't know if he gets that level of opportunity anywhere else or again in Charlotte. Like even if he is a backup again, I think the scout is out on Moussa now. People like we saw it in the second half of the year where people are sending 2 on Moussa Diabate and it helps the team more. But in terms of his own numbers, like I don't think they're going to be to the level that he's at now because those people are going to know. So I think Moussa's right. Incredible year. Shout out to Moussa Diabate going from out of the NBA to guaranteed 3-year contract. I think it was a really, really smart move and I'm really happy for him. Grant Williams might have been the guy before he got injured.
Yeah. Because
he was having a really good year. Like, really good.
Yeah. And it was like a nice, like, little, like, rehab story from his time in Dallas. Like, he went to Dallas, Boston needed to cut salary or whatever, and it just wasn't working out. And he found a nice little, like, niche for himself here. And it just got cut short. Sucks.
It did. Okay, let's do MVP award. The final award of our end of season awards show. Sam Dracula, who was your MVP for the Charlotte Hornets?
LaMelo Ball. And honestly, it's not even close. It just isn't. And just like from top level, no other team can affect this franchise's future more than him. Like the Charlotte Hornets' future is in LaMelo Ball and his availability and performance, shot selection, defense, all that. The ups and downs, it starts and ends with him. And when it's clicking, it's awesome, and the Hornets have a chance. But when it's not there, the Hornets have no chance to be anything special. Like it's on him. And if we're talking value, he checks all the boxes when they talk about the most valuable player.
I agree. The Hornets with LaMelo Ball were 16-31 this year. Without him, they were 3-32. If that doesn't shout the value that he has to this team, yes, right. There are still a lot of warts. The defense, shot selection, the turnovers, the fouls. Okay, it doesn't mean that he's not immune to criticism. And a lot of time when you're the best player and you're paid like the best player, which he is, you're expected to be the best player and you're expected to play up to that level. And it was a year of 2 halves. Before the All-Star break, I thought he was very good. For the first month of the year, I thought he was exceptional. After the All-Star break, I thought he was pretty poor in terms of like a number 1 option on a team. And he was really inefficient and his defense dropped. But he was still this team's MVP. Miles Bridges had a spurt there in like February, March, where like he really upped his level of play. But when you look over the whole 6 months of the season, even with the games missed, LaMelo Ball is down. He had a career high in points, career high in free throw attempts. He had tied the highest usage in the NBA at 38.1%, which is super high. He didn't have a lot of help on this team. Remember the one-legged 3 stat? I don't know what he finished the year on, but I mean, he hit a load of one-legged 3s. The Hornets were plus 9.5% So 9.5 points better when LaMelo Ball was on the floor. Miles Bridges was close, plus 8.4 points when Miles Bridges was on, but LaMelo still pipped him there and was an absolute all-star worthy candidate for the first half of the season. Was second in the NBA in scoring in the month of November, behind only Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just a really good first half of the year, and good enough that no one was able to overtake him in this award. And once people started to get injured and teams were able to zone in on him, and he also began to wear down, I think, a little bit physically, things weren't as good. But Miles Bridges, Mark Williams, they just don't affect the level of the game and the teammates as much as LaMelo Ball does. There's just no one really like him on this team, and he is the team's MVP for good or for bad.
No doubt. And the only player that has a shot to enter the conversation is Brandon Miller, and that opportunity was taken from him, right? So we'll see what happens in year 3 with him. But LaMelo, the franchise's future is on LaMelo's shoulders, for better or worse. And honestly, I don't even want to say for worse, because LaMelo is the reason why a lot of folks who don't watch the Hornets regularly will watch the Hornets. Because when it's on, it's incredible. There's nothing like it in the league. And it's just, the Hornets will get back to that zone hopefully soon.
Right, Sam. That is it for our end of year awards. Like I say, a lot of info to run through in an hour, but still ups and downs in a season, right? Still moments that we remember, moments we hope we forget. But that is everything. And here we are, 5 years, 1 year with you. My final sign off as host of the Hornets on SI podcast. Like I say, when I first started the show, didn't really have an idea what it would become. It was just, we wanted to do something new for the Hornets community during COVID, during lockdown. It was a passion project. It became something I enjoyed doing, a release and escape from the world of COVID at the time. And it became something much bigger than I imagined it would. We had some amazing guests on. We've learned from every high and every low, connected with the listeners. It's been fantastic. So just to everyone who's listened, shared, supported, listen even only once, thank you for your support over the time. You really made it worth it. And I will always look back fondly, despite the poor record, I'll always look back fondly on podcasting with you this year, podcasting with Chase the last 4 years. And keep showing up, keep listening. Until next time, Sam, this will be we'll reconnect in the future. Well, this is not going to be it for me and you, but this is going to be our last podcast together. So thank you for this year, Sam.
No, thank you for having me. I feel like I've been a guest in your house here. I've enjoyed my time. No,
you haven't been a guest. You've been a co-tenant.
I appreciate it. I've been renting a room. That's cool. I can do that. But no, I appreciate. I've enjoyed working with you this season, and yeah, man, we'll connect. We'll do some things in the future.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. That was our end of season awards. He is Sam Dracula. I am James Plowright. This is Inside the Hive, signing off for one last time. Thank you all.